So is anyone's team in the Super Bowl this weekend? No? You're going to the Super Bowl? Oh, shoot. Okay, well, you're going to have fun. What team are you going for? Or just to... Seahawks. Seahawks? All right.
My husband grew up there.
Okay.
I grew up here.
Hey, well, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
What teams is it?
Seahawks and Patriots.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Anyone else have plans? No? All right, just watch it.
Is it the watching it or is it the the food?
The halftime show. Oh, there's two separate halftime shows. Yeah, that's a whole controversy. Give it like five more minutes. I'm curious to see how it looks.
Yeah. It's like the same setup as the podcast. We did a podcast with them a couple months ago. It was so
I think I'm better this time. See, I can talk in front of people, no problem. It's cameras that get me nervous for some reason.
You're just talking to people.
Yeah, this time it's I have people in front of me, so I think it'll be a little bit easier. So, but for whatever reason, cameras, I don't know why it does it. It's difficult for me.
And they had it like in every angle. Yeah, so Daniel was just like,
I'm gonna try to talk slow because I tend to talk really fast. So.
As there's questions, we'll pass the microphone so people online can hear the questions.
Okay. Look.
we're still missing like 10. We're still missing.
It'd be perfect to watch the Super Bowl right here. What size is this TV?
Like 90, I believe.
90? Yeah.
Hello. Please feel free. Yes, please feel free.
We're gonna be live streaming the Super Bowl.
It's great to meet you. Yes, likewise. Stella. Yes. Yes.
You know how Nickelodeon now has like SpongeBob and all of them for the kids explaining it? We'll do a Puroclean version where it's like you get your mold experts commentary during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no worries.
Then we also have copies of the slides and some notebooks and pens if anyone's like.
And then there's some refreshments in the fridge and some chips, and then lunch will be coming around.
It's a
Bottle
beer
opener.
Bottle opener.
I think everyone attending is property managers or landlords, right? Yeah.
Have you noticed their new logo? They just changed their logo, and I don't like it. It looks like an orange.
Yeah, my niece works for them, so I always get a bunch. Thank you. Where's Doug?
I can get it.
Who? Oh, Doug. I just got here.
Are they different,
We're franchise.
okay, so you're not Doug?
No, we're the number one, and so.
Oh, is Doug another Puroclean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't know who Doug is.
Hopefully he's well though.
Yeah. I 2 years with Puroclean. Before that, I ran a franchise, Service Master for about 6.5 years. Before that, worked at another Service Master for 7 or 8 years, and then worked at another mitigation company before that. So it's 21 years in this industry now. It started when I was 17, 18 years old. guess we'll give it 2 more minutes and we'll start. We'll get started.
We need one of these at the warehouse.
I feel like I've met them before. Where do you guys work for? Or I feel like I've met you two before.
I'm with Alliance.
Ah, okay.
And then I'm with Trust Environmental.
Oh, okay. All right.
Coming to support.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I know I recognize you guys.
There's also sodas for different waters.
It's not just me. I was like, I've done that before though. I feel like I recognize somebody, and they're like, nope, never met you. Like,
You don't like LinkedIn or something once.
I think we'll just get started. Yeah. Well, good afternoon now. So how's everyone doing? Good. All right. So mold versus mildew. No. Huh? Oh, sorry. My name is Daniel. I'm with PuroClean. Caitlin. Oh, sorry. Caitlin, and we're here to talk about mold versus mildew. So, like I said, I mentioned I've been in this industry for 21 years. Caitlin's been in this not too long ago. Right now, we're teaming up to try to do this, educate people on different topics. Mold versus mildew is one. Know the foe. We're from Roland Heights. That's where our main office is from, Roland Heights. We have our warehouse in East LA. We have a 30,000 square foot warehouse. We do everything from the mitigation, remediation, pack outs, and repairs. We do from A to Z. So now, we want to identify mold and mildew. So distinguishing the characteristics. Mold. Color it can vary from colors: black, green, brown, white patches. Usually, and I've seen a rainbow of colors as well, depending on how long mold has been growing. I've seen it go pink and yellow and different other colors. The texture, fuzzy, slimy. It's pretty. So raised like dirt or grime. Location hides behind walls, under floors and ceilings. It typically, like I mentioned before, it needs a dark space, moisture, and a food source. So a wall cavity is perfect underneath the crawl space. Those are where it loves to thrive, as long as it has that continued moisture. Odor. It's pretty strong, pervasive, musty smell. When I've been dealing with mold remediation for a long time, sometimes I don't see it, I can smell it, and my eyes they get watery. It's like an allergy reaction for me. So, mildew, color, same. It's white, gray, initially powder-like. The texture, powdery flat, easily wiped off surfaces. Usually we see that, the locations we see it are on surface of tiles, fabric, grout, shower walls. The odor is lighter, less overpowering, musty smell. I think we all have seen that in our shower one point in time, a little bit of mildew growing along the grout. So, and it doesn't really have a strong odor. Health risks, mold versus mildew. Typically, so these are some, like me, it gives me an allergy reaction, but we don't want to give any kind of doctor's advice to anybody ever. We always tell, whether it's a tenant or a customer, you always want to consult your physician. So, it can typically trigger asthma, sinus infections, or depending on the type of mold, toxic responses. Mildew risks, minor coughing, maybe some skin irritation. Usually the people that are most vulnerable are elderly, babies, or kids, or someone who suffer from very strong allergies. They're usually the ones that feel it first. Mold, the deep structural impact. Eats drywall, wood, and insulation. And usually when mold first starts, it starts on the drywall. It can grow on the surfaces of wood framing, but when it is already penetrating the wood framing or the drywall, it means it's been leaking for a very long time. It has given mold time to thrive and actually eat away at the material. And then at that point, you end up getting wood rot. So that typically takes like 3 to 4 years. It weakens structures, increases remediation costs. So like I mentioned, that's, it's a constant leak that's going on for 3 to 4 years or more. Mildew, surface level presence, stays on the surface, stains grout or fabric. It's a quick cleanup and prevents escalation. If you don't take care of it, yeah, it's just going to continue to grow. Prevention. You want to starve the fungi. Key strategies for moisture control. And being in dealing with condos, dealing with rental properties, or especially older properties, I see it with something real common. A lot of the times they don't have the exhaust fans. They just never installed exhaust fans. It doesn't have, in a condo sometimes where the bathroom is located, there's no window, so there's no proper ventilation. You want to make sure you have proper ventilation. If you're using dehumidifiers in certain situations, same thing with exhaust fans, like I mentioned, one of the solutions is installing an exhaust fan if it doesn't have one. Making sure that they're leaving that exhaust fan after they shower, especially if someone took a hot shower for about 20 minutes. The humidity in that bathroom is going to be very high and more likely susceptible for mold growth and mildew. Open up the windows. My kids are bad at not opening up the window and not leaving the fan on. I always have to remind, hey, after you take a shower, leave that exhaust fan on for a little while and leave that window open. Control water sources. Dry those areas within 24 hours. Mildew and mold can typically grow within 48 to 72 hours. So that's the fastest it can grow. There's times if it doesn't have the perfect conditions, and I've seen mold, it take 3 weeks, maybe longer for it to actually grow. So, and one of the times one of the issues where tenants they don't know if there's mold, or it's very difficult to prevent, is where it's an intermittent leak, where it maybe only leaks in the wall when they use the shower valve, or when they turn the shower valve or turn on the faucet to the sink. So it just drips while it's in use, so they don't know it's getting wet, so it's getting wet over a long period of time and it stays wet. So, but there's no visible signs of water, where like if you had a burst pipe and it flooded the house. So it's sorry, go ahead.
No.
Oh.
I was just gonna say with the exhaust fans. With the exhaust fans.
It's for the online.
Sorry.
Is it-
A lot of properties built in the 90s only had circulating fans. So they really didn't pull anything out. They just
helped circulate the air.
circulated the
Okay.
area, and sometimes that doesn't work. Do you have any suggestion for that?
Replacing it with an exhaust fan. Sorry.
But there's nowhere to exhaust it out. That's because, like you said, those bathrooms were built, in the interior, and there's nowhere for it to exhaust out.
Leaving the door open, if there's absolutely no way of exhausting it, you have to leave the door open and leave that fan on, so that way it circulates that air out. It's
Creating some sort of ventilation.
Fix it. No, thank you. Fix the leaks right away. Route water away from foundations. I think a lot of times where I live right now, I'm a renter myself, and we have the gutters where they're not leading all the way away from the stucco, and that side of the house gets no sun whatsoever. So when it does rain or when the sprinklers go off, it's constantly getting wet there, and now I have mildew growing all over that side of the stucco. So it's trying to lead the water away from there, fixing the sprinklers, making sure it's not aiming at the property itself. So prevention in the home, bathrooms, run the ventilation fan, something we already spoke about, running the ventilation fans during and 20 minutes after the showers. I think I'm seeing a lot of glass shower doors nowadays. So making sure you squeegee those walls, get rid of that excess moisture that's just sitting there. Seal the grout. Something that I don't think anyone, I think maybe 80% or more of homeowners, no one ever reseals the grout. It wears away. That sealant wears away with time. Almost nobody reseals it. Nobody upkeeps that care. Store toiletries dry, kitchens, empty drip trays, clean refrigerator seals, vent range hoods outside. Well, most vents are going up through the roof, whether it be a microwave vent or an actual hood vent. You want to try to keep the same thing with some laundries. You want to make sure that the actual duct or the exhaust for the dryer is properly ducting out. It's not clogged, because it can tend to push that moisture back into the actual laundry room. So causing mold to grow on drywall inside the laundry room, causing it to be an excess of moisture in that laundry room.
I can add to that. So I own a condo in Downey with my sister, and it's one of those condos that it's 2 stories and there's no walls on the first story. And our laundry room is also, so it's the kitchen, and then it's like an open laundry room, dining area, living room. We have like a tiny patio, and that's the only source of ventilation. But my mother loves to wash clothes and like heat and leave everything closed. Like the doors never open, the patio doors are never open. We have no walls, no windows to ventilate that. So even just opening those doors, it's all about ventilation at the end of the day. The same with the restrooms. I have a his and hers conjoint restroom that there's nothing, right? There's nowhere for it to go. So even if it's opening both sides, both doors on both sides, and then opening the windows in both rooms for it to go somewhere, because I have even experienced that where I take like burning hot showers, and I'm one of those people that if I forget to turn the fan on, I won't do it. And just reminding myself, because sometimes you go back in there and you're like, oh, it smells like mildew. It smells like, it doesn't smell fresh. And just having that constant reminder, whether it's your own home, a renter, family and friends, just that constant reminder that there needs to be ventilation, because like Danny says, it could happen, 48 to 72 hours, or it can happen throughout time where you just keep adding to the layer of moisture that's growing, and then you end up having a bigger problem than expected.
Yeah, my wife, same thing. She likes taking scalding hot showers. I don't know what it is about that, but I can't handle how hot she puts it. And I got to remind her, hey, leave that fan on. And I mean, women have long hair, so when she washes her hair, she's putting the treatment. That shower can be 20, 30 minutes. So the hot shower for 30 minutes, all that moisture or that steam that was in the shower, it can cause issues if you don't ventilate it properly. Prevention strategies: keeping your property safe, roof and gutter inspections, seasonal checkups. You want to make sure those gutters don't get clogged, especially if there's a lot of trees in that area. If there's no trees, it's going to be, you won't need that checkup as often. But if there's a lot of trees surrounding the home, you want to make sure it's not clogging those gutters. Stop condensation, pipe insulation. I see that more on the AC systems where I had an issue where my dog kept chewing on the insulation, ripped it off the AC system, so all the condensation would just drip right there, right next to the house. Moisture barrier paint. I read that backwards. Basement protection. It's not as often as in California, but there's a few areas where we have those 1920s, early 1900s, or late 1800 homes where we have basements, and they need to either get resealed, or they're not sealed properly, or there's cracks on the foundation itself allowing moisture to get in. So it's taking care of those situations. I see that in Pasadena. I forget the other cities right now, Montclair or Claremont. I've seen some areas where they have really old homes and you have full basements, and they're finished basements. They turn it into a living area, and they're constantly having mold issues because they didn't properly seal the actual, what's the word? It's the block wall, but the retaining wall. So you want to make sure that's sealed properly. Dry fabric storage, keeping all the something that I used to do a lot, where after I take a shower, I'd hang the towel inside the shower. It takes a lot longer for that towel to dry when it's in there. I always hang it outside of the bathroom now. That was my fault. My towel would always smell because it always stayed wet too long. Furniture positioning, ensure airflow. Outside, that's one thing. Like I said, depending on how the sun sets on your home, there's probably one side of the home where if the sun's not really hitting it and you have furniture right up against the house, it can cause mildew or mold to grow because it's holding moisture in those areas. Mildew, cleaning and prevention, small areas, anything under 10 square feet. Typically, you don't need well, I forget, we're dealing with tenants. So with tenants, it's a whole different story. But typically, it's simple, a simple wipe down. But to protect oneself, I guess it depends on the situation. You want to hire a professional to take care of the mold because we're in California. Everybody likes to sue. So we want to make sure we protect ourselves. So whether it's getting, if we see visible mold, we assume it's mold and treat it as mold. Now, if there is no visible mold and the tenant is complaining that they're, oh, I'm getting sick, and they start making complaints, it is recommended to maybe to protect oneself, getting an industrial hygienist to come in. Well, first we can inspect it, then we can recommend an industrial hygienist get testing done. They do an air sample, no mold. Here, you have a certificate saying that there's no mold. That protects you. So, preparation, wear protective gloves and masks, cleaning process, scrub with detergent or vinegar. Usually there's specific, in our industry, there's specific detergents that we use, or sporicidins, that you don't see them, they don't sell them at Home Depot or at the stores. We use something stronger, but it's also green friendly. But one of the easiest, most simplest, cheapest way to clean mold or mildew is with vinegar. 1 part vinegar, 1 part water. It's not a toxic smell. I mean, I personally hate the smell of vinegar, but it's not a strong odor. It's not gonna kick or affect anyone. It's not a chemical. Yes.
And do you need the 5% vinegar or the 30% vinegar?
So yeah, so they can hear what you asked. Sorry, yeah, so they can hear online.
Okay, do you need to use the 5% vinegar or the 30% vinegar?
I would recommend the 30% because it's 1 part the vinegar, 1 part water. You want the stronger. Post cleaning and don'ts: bag and discard porous items, moldy ceiling tiles. Never paint until surfaces are fully clean and dry. If something's not dry and it's wet and you clean the mold off and then you repaint it, the mold's going to continue to grow. And you want to make sure, especially before you do any removal. California, we're required to test anything for asbestos, any drywall material that's being opened up. So highly recommending getting Trust. No, there's different testing companies that we work with. One of them is here, Trust. You can trust them. Wanting to test before anything's opened up, because you have tenants, you want to make sure it gets tested for asbestos. And then if it's 87 or 89? Now I forgot. Lead? 89. 89 or older, test for asbestos and lead. That's to protect oneself. Because you don't want to open things up and then the tenant is very knowledgeable about this and they say, hey, well, did you test for asbestos? And they hire someone, get it tested, comes back positive. You now have contaminated the home and have an issue. So you want to protect yourselves whenever you can, so as much as you can. When to call the pros: expert intervention is key. Significant mold growth above 10 square feet and recurrence, call certified restoration pros, PuroClean or Alliance. If mold covers more than 10 square feet, follows flooding or significant water damage, it hides in HVAC systems, keeps returning after cleaning. Definitely want to hire someone like us, make sure that we go out there and inspect, and we can give you the correct recommendations how to handle it. And typically, when we go out to your rental properties, we try to keep the conversation with the tenant to a minimum. We want to make sure we're not trying to over-educate them. We want to make sure we handle it the right way for you guys, protect you, and do it the right way so we're protecting the tenant as well. Professional containment and eradication methods. Professional containment ensures safety. We set up air scrubbers to remove mold spores. When we're doing the actual work, we put it under negative air. So it's a HEPA filtration device, high efficiency HEPA filtration device that ducts outside of our work area, which creates a negative pressure in that work area. And that allows no mold spores or any of the dust to exit the work area. We use HEPA vacuums as well to clean all the ceilings, walls, and floors in that area, wipe it all down to basically get it ready for a mold clearance. Moisture mapping identifies hidden issues, ensures complete eradication. The one thing regarding testing, so even if we don't do a preliminary test for mold, we already know there's mold and we want to get rid of the mold, we always want to do a mold clearance after. That way, that protects us, it protects you guys, everything's good to go, you got the green light to do the repair, put everything back the way it was. Prevention quiz, true or false? Bleach kills mold roots forever. False. Wait, the answers are up there. Why am I? Never mind, I'm sorry. A squeegee helps stop mildew. True, correct. Removing excess water prevents mildew growth. I didn't read the bottom. Sorry, for the bleach. Bleach only kills surface mold, not the roots remain. And bleach is highly corrosive. We used to, back many years ago when I did the actual mold remediation, we used a lot of bleach. I almost killed myself. Was in a crawl space where, with the filters that I was using, improper filters that I was using, I was spraying the whole crawl space with bleach. I almost passed out. So, almost killed myself. So it's very toxic, very corrosive. You spray that on the framing, the nails, everything, it does eat away with it within time. High humidity levels discourage mold. False, correct. Humidity promotes mold, keep it below 60%. Proper ventilation prevents mildew buildup. True, correct. This one should be different. We should. Correct. Airflow is crucial to dry out moist areas. Fixing leaks immediately is unnecessary. False. We want to make sure we take care of that right away, as quick as possible. I think one of the biggest issues with rental properties is, I think tenants are afraid sometimes to call the landlord to let them know that there's a leak. You want to let them know, hey, we want to take care of it right away to prevent a bigger problem, because if they wait, it ends up being more costly for us or for the landlord, and it ends up being a bigger problem. So, trying to educate the tenants on letting you know when there's issues going, or when there's an issue happening, and taking care of it right away. Puro Clean of Roland Heights, your partner in mold remediation and prevention. We have a 24/7 rapid response, immediate action for your peace of mind, comprehensive inspection and testing, accurate mold and moisture assessment, full remediation and restoration, EPA-approved products, HEPA filtration, healthy home. Call us at any time to restore a healthy home and a peace of mind. Any questions now, I guess? Mike, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, if not, they don't hear us online.
So what I've been experiencing with tenants is overcrowding of their closets and surface mold growing on their closets, and then they call and say they have mold, and then we have to do the testing and remediation, but it's really the tenant's fault. So I'd like something in writing, maybe you can help me, that would educate them on ventilating in the bedroom.
Well, the only thing about that is the only reason mold would grow, even if you have an excess amount of personal belongings in that closet, on the other side, is it a restroom?
No.
Ooh, that would.
It's an outside wall though, so the humidity builds up inside the bedroom and it's cold outside, so there is a certain amount of moisture.
So that would definitely warrant for an inspection to see why that moisture is entering the home, because there's no reason that moisture should be entering, causing that mold on the clothing. So there's, as much as I want to help you, you have to see why there is an excess of moisture in the going into the interior wall into the home, because that should not be happening. You could put a ton of stuff in a closet. There's no reason mold should grow. It doesn't help though when you put stuff against it, because it will grow. If you don't have things against it, it's creating. So, an example. I've had issues where they had a leak at a home. The entire wall was wet. They had multiple paintings on the wall. The only area the mold was growing is where the paintings were at. For some reason, that created a perfect environment. So when you remove the painting, mold all over that one square on each area where that painting was. For whatever reason, it creates the perfect environment right there. And that's what's happening in that yeah, and that's what's happening there. But there's underlying issue. I don't know if the stucco is cracked on the outside, or there's something has to be happening on that exterior wall to allow that much moisture to come in. It could be also and the only way to find out is opening the interior wall. Maybe the vapor barrier between the stucco and the framing is worn out or is no longer there, allowing that moisture to come into the home.
I'll go to this one.
Yeah, I've got a quick question based on what you guys just discussed. What if people are putting sweaty clothes or their clothes aren't dry when they're putting them in the closet?
That will definitely cause things to grow, especially if it's sitting there for a long time. So, yeah, the thing is, a lot of that the clothes, I mean, it's dirty. There's I mean, I don't know if it's underwear or whatever it is. There's bacteria, huh? Gym, especially gym clothes. Yeah, you're picking up a lot of stuff from the gym, so they just throw that in there. It has bacteria. It does. I mean, I don't want to get too much detail about that, but yeah, it's dirty and it's moisture. It will speed up the process of bacterial or mold growth. So,
Just to let you know, I had the same thing happen where a tenant called and said all their stuff was moldy in the closet.
they were just throwing all
And-
their wet clothes in there.
Well, no, it wasn't
Oh.
wet clothes, it was boxes of shoes, but they had it stuffed so compact. But what we did was, on that one, there was a adjacent wall to the outside, and we had to do some work there. So I always just, like you said, check the outside. But then we have another one where they had their stuff in a white tub, you know, like a little container with the top, and their stuff got moldy in there. So I just think that California's had so much rain this year that we're just overloaded with moisture, and I think, you know, like getting the water away from the buildings will help, and, you know,
100%, yeah.
definitely, but we're getting a lot of calls as property
And
managers.
it's only happening now because we've never had that amount of water.
Right.
All at one time. That's one of the, it's, we weren't prepared for this. We're not. A lot of homes are not, and we won't know, now we know what the property needs because of the amount of rain that happened. Whether it be, the gutters may be clogged, there not enough gutters around the house, improper, yeah, where the water, instead of it draining out, the water's just piling up against the house. So right now is where we're seeing all those issues. So,
In the last couple of weeks.
So like you said, I know that California is very litigious, so you tend to err on the side of caution and call for mold remediation. But my question to you is, how often is it actually mildew as opposed to mold? Even though you still go through the process to cover yourself and get that certification, would you say there's a certain percentage where it's actually mildew and not mold?
to be honest, I want to say it's on the higher side, maybe 60–70% that it is mold. And the best way to know or to get that answer is to hire an industrial hygienist. And that way, you get it tested, you see no mold spore or no bad mold, or what they also do at mold clearance. Usually a mold clearance, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on can you actually under the micro? So when mold clearance is, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, usually when they do they test the outside air, they compare the outside, the unaffected area to the area where the mold actually grows. So if the mold spore count is less than, or if the mold spore counts are way less than the exterior unaffected area, and if there's a mold inside the area where the area that got affected, and that mold doesn't even exist in the outside, that's when that mold remediation needs to happen.
Yes. So is the question of when for clearance to an initial?
No, I was asking, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I explained that all correctly.
No, that's correct, because if there are areas, let's say more like this more coastal beachy areas, there is a little bit more humidity, a little bit more mold, so the elevation might be a little bit higher in the exterior. When we actually do the interior with the cassettes to actually do to see the mold spore count and the air on the inside of the home, if it's the same or less, we can deduct like, okay, it's, it's just the environment. If it's elevated, that's how we can actually know that there is an initial mold, yeah. Another one that we can do as well, that we do a lot for property managers, because at times the tenants won't allow you inside, or it's a little bit of conflict of interest, we can do a baseline mold assessment, which is similar to an actual clearance, and we can go in and just do simply just the air sampling or whatever concern there is for that space. And then in that case, if it comes back positive, we can send it back to, like PuroClean, and they'll actually be able to know what remediation is necessary for you guys.
And remember, just keep in mind the year of the home, testing for asbestos and lead. For asbestos, there's no year. We have to test everything.
What document is that?
So it's AQMD, it's the Air Quality Management District, which I know she can also speak on too.
I forget what that code is, but yeah.
The AQ, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what code it is, but yeah, it's under the AQMD, so we are regulated by them. It's a government-regulated program. We have no say in this. And just because the asbestos products were stopped in a certain year, stopped being produced, doesn't mean that there wasn't stockpiles somewhere else that were getting shipped here being used. So we've had houses that are built in 2012 to 2015 that have tested positive for asbestos, and that can be in the drywall, it can be in little glue that they use for certain items in the home. So you honestly really never know with the asbestos. So it's always best to test for the asbestos as well as the lead.
And I'm looking up real quick to see if I can find it.
Alliance, hi. Real quick question. If you take the testing outside and then you go inside, and you said if they're kind of the same, there's no mold, but if it's elevated, there's mold. I had a testing guy, and I don't know where I found him. I'll get your card before I leave. But he tested outside, and then he tested inside, and they were about the same, but he still recommended that we have a remediation company come through and like scrub the air. So that tenant now is suing us for mold, but there was no mold found. There was no visible mold in the unit. They just had a baby, and they were just really cautious, and they did a mold test at home, and it came back positive. So
They did the
little round,
That's
the
all.
little round one.
That
Yeah,
is.
the
I'm
home
sorry,
kits.
but that is invalid. Like when it
Okay.
comes to court, that is
Well,
it's
we've
invalid.
got all the proof, so we're good, but still we
Yeah.
have to go through a lawsuit.
You can
know?
get I can wipe here, put it on that petri dish, and it's going to grow mold. Mold spores are all around us,
Right.
all the time. Something also to keep in mind: if a tenant has a lot of plants inside the home, the mold spore count is going to be a lot higher inside that home.
What
So,
if they used a humidifier?
dehumidifier. Yeah,
Yes.
dehumidifier is what some people do have dehumidifiers and humidifiers. Actually, now that you touched on that, there's homes that I've been to that the reason that there was so much mold growing in their home, they had a humidifier in every room running all the time. So the moisture in the house was elevated nonstop.
Right.
And because I think their kids, they had asthma issues. I forget what it was, but they had humidifiers running 24/7. So it's a rule SCAQMD rule 1403. 1403. So that's what requires. I don't know what the lead one is. It's a different one. I forget what it is, but the asbestos one is that where you're supposed to test everything no matter what. Not everyone does it, but it's good to go by that rule. You protect yourselves.
1963 that just had a water leak. We did the testing and nothing came back positive. So it's good to show the tenant.
Yeah.
We're clear.
Yeah, and then
Left the walls and did what we have to do.
with lead, I think it's different, and I don't know if you're supposed to assume if it's tenant occupied. You're supposed to assume it has lead, if not, test it. So you have to test to prove that it doesn't have lead, so you don't have to do a lead remediation.
Again, just to cover yourself.
Yeah,
We have a
'cause-
question in the back too from the chat.
Wait, we have a question
Oh.
from Ruby on Zoom. She says, can you help us understand what we can do if a wall that has mold also has asbestos?
So, well, if we're out there and it does come back positive for asbestos, we will bring in a partner, Alliance, one of the companies that we work with, which is Alliance. It's a third-party vendor who is certified for removing materials that have asbestos. So at that point, we cannot do the mold remediation. It has to be an abatement company who's certified for removing asbestos containing material, and they will do the mold remediation as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay, it's not about my property, but my neighbor had the ceiling removed, but there was no mention that they were going to clean it or that there was any need for remediation. And I know that I saw the workers, they were not wearing masks, so I don't know what was going on.
Probably a
And all-
handyman. A lot of handymans don't wear the
And what
proper.
they have bagged up is still bagged up outside the unit.
What's your question though? I knew you were to explain. What is the question though?
My question is, were they supposed to notify the surrounding neighbors that there is a possible asbestos?
What year is your home?
It's about 1960.
That's a really touchy subject. I don't know how to properly guide you on that. The only way this is causing a problem for your home or for your neighbor if you do it, is contacting AQMD, saying, hey, there's work being done. Then whoever did the work can end up paying a hefty fine if it does contain asbestos. So then they'll go out there, they'll test the material, they'll test what's in the bags. I don't know. That one's a little.
Could it be dangerous for me as the neighbor?
I don't.
I think my best, you can't really.
Oh, give her Mike, sorry.
Unless you actually know, like, if it was tested and it came back positive, would it be harmful for you? I mean, in that case, if the work was already completed, you can always do like ambient air testing, but at that point, it's already in the exterior, so there isn't as much danger, I would say, per se. But that's why usually when you see that, if maybe they did get it tested, and that's why no hazmat was necessary in that case. So it's just it's a toss-up on that one, yeah.
And then typically, asbestos fibers, if they were causing dust, if there was wind, that flew away right away. They're very light. You can't even see the fibers. You have to look at it under a microscope. Lead, on the other hand, if it's lead containing, the good thing about that is that it's very heavy. It falls straight to the floor, so it doesn't stay in the air like asbestos does. Or yes.
Andy on Zoom asks, what should you test for asbestos besides acoustic ceilings?
Drywall, joint compound. I mean, when you call it a testing company, if you tell them you're testing to test the walls, they'll test the drywall and the joint compound. If it's plasters, they test the skim coat. But depending on, I think depending on the year, this is where it gets a little tricky because I don't know how that rule works, if it's only for specific materials, the 1403 rule, or if it's for all materials.
It's for all asbestos, potentially asbestos.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be for all asbestos-containing materials in the area of work.
So
if it's in the bathroom, they're going to have to test the walls. If we're doing flood cuts, say your toilet overflows and you need some flood cuts done in your bathroom, they're going to have to test the walls, the joint compound. They're going to have to test the flooring if there's tiles or anything like that, just to be sure.
So to answer in more detail, so vinyl flooring, the mastic, the glue that holds that vinyl flooring down gets tested. You have an engineered glue down flooring. The glue that holds that flooring down gets tested. What are those acoustic ceiling? Those old acoustic ceiling tiles. And you see them more in industrial, but I have seen them in homes as well. That gets tested. Insulation, especially I think the blown-in insulation, the old blown insulation, because asbestos was an extremely amazing fire retardant. So that's why it was used in everything.
I'm going to use an example. You might have asbestos in the wall, but you have a rapid water leak. The plumber goes out there, he didn't test it, he just opened it up because it was flooding. Tell me what you did.
Well, if he clean off the area, great. Seal off that area, get it tested. So
that's after the fact, after he opened the wall.
I would still get it tested.
Okay.
Because potentially he could have contaminated the area.
Right.
Especially especially with tenants. If it's your own home, it's at your discretion.
Right.
So you're welcome.
Another one. Sharon says, because many of the older walls are plaster and they used to use small amounts of asbestos in plaster, it would always test positive for asbestos.
Less than 1% usually.
Less than 1%.
Yeah, usually it comes back. The plaster skim coat comes back less than 1. I think I remember general contractors can remove up to a certain amount. I forget if it's 100 square feet. Anything above that, it has to be an abatement company, a certified asbestos company. We don't mess with it, period. It comes back positive, we hire an abatement company. I don't want the lawsuit.
Okay. And then Ruby asks, would you be able to provide the average cost of mold remediation from beginning to end?
No, that's a tough question. It can be something real small in a restroom where it can start out between $1,500 to $3,000, and it could go all the way up to $50,000 to $100,000 if the whole property. So it varies in size. So if it's a small area versus the whole house is covered in mold, I've seen where Something where it happens a lot, Palm Springs. If any of you guys own properties out in that area, a lot of those properties are vacant for months at a time, and they have a flood, and they get a call from a neighbor, hey, there's water coming out from your garage. I shut off the water to your house. They go out there, it's been leaking for a month. Everything's covered in mold. All the personal property, all the walls. You're talking about a mold remediation easily anywhere between, and the property was like a 7,000 square foot home. That's almost $100,000 mold remediation. And then the repairs above that. So you're ripping everything out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other? Yes.
I have a tenant who's been there about 15 years, and they had a leak under their kitchen, on their kitchen faucet, and they didn't report it. And then they reported it, and it was obvious some mold or mildew was growing in the particle board of the cabinet.
It's probably falling apart. And
Yes.
It's been leaking for many, many years.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we immediately called out mold remediation. They tested, and it came back normal. So the tenant's complaining of headaches and sinus problems and mold. But if the test is normal, how do I proceed?
I would still get it remediated, still get it treated like if there's mold, even if there's visible mold. If you'd like, if you would like to share that report with us, and I can give you a better answer. I would like to see the report. It would be
I have it.
Yeah, if I'm sure they tested inside the work or the area where the mold is suspect, and an area that's unaffected, and outside. So I'd love to see the report, and I can give you a better answer. But I would still do more. It's like I said, because it's a tenant, they can cause a huge headache. Well,
and to add to that, a lot of the times, even if it's not a job and you just want an extra set of eyes, you can always send us an email, give us a call.
Free inspections.
And our inspections are completely free. We travel all through Southern California. Like you said, we'll be in Palm Springs, Big Bear, Lancaster, wherever you need us is where
Santa
we'll
Barbara.
go. Yeah, we go pretty far. But the best thing I would tell you guys, and just, property managers, anyone in this field, is always just take advantage of the free inspection, because it's better safe than sorry. Whereas it's not costing you anything, it's not costing us anything to go out and help you guys.
How much is a mold test, the actual testing?
Well, you said they
They did.
Well, how much did they charge you?
500.
Yeah, depending on what the test was, it ranges from 500 to 1,500, depending on the amount of areas that need testing or how detailed. Also, there's testing where they just test it, and then if you want an actual protocol written up, they charge more. I keep looking, I forget. Yeah. So they charge more, where they actually tell you exactly what needs to be done. So.
Yeah, so just to have a little bit more clarity on that one, it usually will be like the report and the assessment cost, and then the actual sample cost is a separate. It really just depends on how many areas you need tested, and then if we're accounting for also the exterior and the interior air sampling as well.
Yeah, because I've had clients where they say, no, I just want to test the area that's affected. That's it. So, but you, like I said, you always want to get multiple samples to be able to determine what's going on there, to be able to compare. So, you're welcome.
No more questions?
No? Ready to eat? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm ready.
Just a couple more online.
All right, yeah.
Well, we have.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Yeah.
Oh, a couple more from Zoom. Andy says, we are seeing a lot of units in our condo association getting mold on their acoustic ceilings. Hiring a mold remediation company is beyond what many of the owners can afford. Can you suggest a DIY solution? How about bleach followed by mold-killing primer and paint?
Okay, it was hard to hear. Yeah. So I think what I heard was that there's mold growing on the acoustic ceilings. What's a DIY? I mean, first you need to find out why that's happening. What's the source of that? You need to stop the source before you can do anything else. I mean, what's causing the excess moisture in that house? You want to find that first. Once you fix that, acoustic ceilings, I hate acoustic ceilings. There's no easy way to clean. You can't really clean that. You have to remove it. You can't just spray that. I mean, I've seen people spray it and then just paint over it. Not recommended, but it's a lot of handymen tend to do that. We recommend to scrape off the acoustic ceiling. It holds a lot of moisture. Like I said, if there's a leak, I don't know what the issue's there, but depending on what's going on, you want to stop that, whatever the source is first.
And then also to add on to that, you also have to keep in mind that handyman or just DIY solutions are like putting a patch on something. It doesn't fix the problem. If anything, it just delays it or makes it worse. So sometimes it's just, it's not your favorite thing to do, right? You don't want to pay for remediation, or you don't want to have someone go out and tell you what you don't want to hear. But in the long run, it's probably the best idea.
You want to pay for that work up front versus having to deal with the lawsuit, because it's going to be a lot more expensive after. You're going to say, yeah, hey, that's kind of expensive to do the mold remediation. It's going to cost you $10, $20, $30 more $1,000 when it comes to a lawsuit. So you want to take care of it, even though it's expensive, take care of it right away. You don't want to have to deal with a bigger problem after. So I mean, if you're talking about your own home, it's different. Where you live, you don't want to spend the money, you can deal with it, that's fine. But when it comes to tenants, like I mentioned in the beginning, California, everyone loves to sue. So.
And last question is from Ruby. It says, what is your process if after treatment a third-party company enters the unit and the unit continues to test positive for mold?
Well, so it's then whoever's doing the cleaning is not doing their job correctly. That's what it comes down to. Or there's still an ongoing source. The biggest thing, like I mentioned before with the other situation, you want to stop the source first. If there's a leak going on and I remove all the mold and dry it, and we're good, and this source is not fixed, it's just going to continue to happen. You need to find whatever the source is, stop that, fix it, and then take care of handle the mold remediation.
Thank you.
So when tenants...
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, it's so they can hear you online.
So when tenants are experts now with mold, on proper protocol, if they see just surface growth, is there a response that we can, I don't know, give them that keeps them at ease rather than like, oh, because I call it organic growth, I don't call it mold.
You don't want to use the word mold, yeah. One of our biggest tools and enemies right now is AI, ChatGPT. Everyone becomes a lawyer. Everyone becomes extremely smart now. They take a picture of it. Oh, what can I say to my landlord? It's a dangerous game now. So that's why even more so now, because everyone has access to these tools, this AI, you want to handle it the right way. Bring a hygienist in to cover your ass. Because with AI, with ChatGPT now, you have smart people now. Or they sound smart.
I would also say, like I said, take advantage of the pre-inspection. Their inspections come with a report. So you can always use that report to back yourself up. We've had different property managers that have troublesome tenants, and they say, this has been ongoing, like I just want, reports. So if anything does happen, I have them on file, and we go out there, we say, no, it wasn't mold, but there wasn't proper ventilation, or they're neglecting something. That way it's written specifically that it's not, the property manager, landlord, homeowner's fault necessarily. It's more of a tenant issue.
Look, ultimately, what the tenant is doing is using specific language. They're looking, whether before it was Google, now it's AI. So the tenant's using that to get you to do something, to fix the issue. So most of the time, if the tenant's hasn't been paying rent for multiple months, it's a different story. They're trying to continue to get free rent. If you don't have issues with the tenant where they're paying their rent on time, take care of it right away. That's my biggest advice, because they want to see it. They want to see something happening. When it's someone who hasn't been paying rent for 3, 4, 5 months, they're just looking for a payout. Sorry, I forget.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do safety checks twice a year, and that's when I find something, and I say, why didn't you tell me about this? Because we did have something in a closet that was attached to the outside, and we redid things and everything, fixed it all up. But it's like I have tenants that don't tell me, and it's only during my inspections that I find stuff. So how how can I encourage them or say something to help them so I could immediately get you, you know, to come and fix it?
That's a tough question. I don't think there's any good answer for that because some tenants just never say anything. Me, like I said, I'm a tenant. The property I've been living at for 13 years. I take care of small stuff. Every tenant's different. Sometimes there's amazing tenants out there that they fix it themselves. So I take care of small things. If I know it's going to be a couple grand or more, then I'll involve the landlord. Go, hey, you know what? Hey, this is what's going on. Yeah, she steps in, and I try to help out any way I can. So.
We also, one of the property managers that I partner with a lot, he does like 3-day notices. I'm dropping in, just doing a check. So if you want to check the properties more often, that also helps as well. Or also the relationships you have with the tenants, being, you know, friendly, respectful. You don't need to be best friends with them, but that way they're comfortable enough letting you know the small things, because we have had cases where the tenant and then the landlord, property management company, they don't get along. So they hold out information, that way it looks bad on the company. Or they're scared to say anything. Yeah. So there's been quite a few of those as well, but just having that relationship or even some sort of like online check-in with them if you don't want to go to the property because you're busy. We have a property manager we work with that does like Zooms. He does like a Thursday seminar on Zoom. Whoever has any questions, concerns, they just pop in there and they do that, where it's like you don't have to go to each and every property, talk to every tenant, but that line of communication is always open on that same day in case they have anything, and that's been working for them as well.
I mean, reaching out to your clients when it rains. Hey, just want to check up on you guys. Hey, make sure there's no roof leaks, no water coming in from outside. I mean, situations like that, just reach out to them. Might help out. So,
how important is the heating and the heating system in terms of mold? Because if they turn the heater off, you don't have any heat, so the house isn't getting warm. So how important is that?
once again, I think, so the main issue with mold, you need to have a water issue. There has to be some kind of leak that's causing that to happen. Whether you have the AC, the heat on, that should not matter. If there's an issue with if there's a leak somewhere, that's what needs to be fixed. Whether you run the heat or AC, the issue is the leak itself. Whatever source the water's coming from.
Back to that question about asbestos in
lead,
in plaster.
Oh.
The same person wants to know if a good sealer, primer, and paint job is enough to keep the 1% asbestos plaster safe for tenants.
So asbestos does not become an issue until you start opening up walls. The whole house can contain asbestos. Does not matter. It's when it becomes friable. What that means is when I go at it with a hammer causing that dust, that becomes friable. That's when it's an issue. As long you don't have to put any kind of sealing on the walls. The thing is, if it has asbestos, you need to have a certified asbestos abatement company opening up those areas. So even if we know it has asbestos, and you want to do a repipe, you're going to, unfortunately, if you have tenants, you want to make sure you handle that the right way. Have an abatement company come out, open up the necessary areas. And usually when they cut it open, they put a sealant right where the cut was, so it's not, because that, right? Wait. No, see, I keep getting, sorry. I think that when they cut it, they usually put like a sealant on the areas that they cut. So that way it can't spread or, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
This is more of a legal question. But have you?
I'm not a lawyer.
I know. But have you had experience with at-fault or no-fault evictions in relationship to the mold abatement?
So I stay out of that side.
Okay.
If you hire me you guys hire us to inspect for the mold. We'll provide our report, whatever you need, including the testing company.
Okay.
But I do not get involved legally in any way with the tenant. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. how many cases end up?
There's
in
been a
that?
lot of cases. We get called. I've gotten. They didn't subpoena me. They just wanted my opinion, or they wanted my statement of what I saw when I went out there. It was like over the phone. But
Okay.
if I have to go to court, if we have to go to court for you guys because we did our inspection, we charge for that.
Yes.
I don't remember what our fees are for that, but yeah, we'll support whatever we wrote for you. But it costs money for us to go to court.
Okay.
So.
You said earlier that to do the abatement as soon as possible, right? If you see mold or you've tested.
Once the source is fixed, yes. Once you stop whatever's leaking, well, sometimes the leak is in that wall and there's mold. So you have to get to that leak, we're gonna have to open that up. So set up a containment, open that area up so that way the plumber can go in, fix the leak, and then once they're done, then continue with the mold remediation.
Okay.
So, I mean, with on the insurance side, because we deal a lot with insurance claims. Usually, because the insurance is covering the claim, the insurance will pay for the whoever's living in the home, or if the tenant has renter's insurance and it's a covered claim, the insurance will pay for them to stay out of the home while that work's happening. So, but this situation is a little bit different. Where you're just trying to get some work done while your tenant's still living there. We want to try to inconvenience them as less as possible. I'm getting my words mixed up today. So, so we want to try to minimize the work. Insurance is a bit different because insurance is paying for a lot of stuff. In your guys' scenario, you're paying for out of pocket, so we're trying to minimize the cost.
Okay.
So,
in your opinion, since I have this tenant that has normal results on the testing, how long of time do I have before I do the remediation?
there's no visible mold growth, correct?
There is, but it's like old, the particle board in the kitchen cabinet.
I mean, the sooner the better. Send me do you have pictures as well?
Yes.
Email her the report and any photos you can send, and we can go over it after.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, to add to that, I come from the insurance world. My family has an insurance brokerage. Best things best, if possible. I don't know how you guys like to do this, but renter's insurance is a great help, especially when it comes to situations like that. Renter's insurance, like Danny says, will pay for relocation of the tenant, and it's like an added insurance to your own insurance. Also in the situations where you believe that it was the renter's fault, that something happened, or just negligence, their insurance can also be liable for that, so that a lot of the times is like an added support for you, as well as just knowing your policies. There's a lot of people who assume, okay, well, I have insurance and it's going to cover everything, but in the state of California, if you don't have added like benefits to your insurance, you have to pay for a fire, you have to pay for water. There's certain things that aren't covered that your insurance agent may not tell you about, that you have to inquire about, that are only like less than $10 extra on your policy that will cover the loss.
To add on to that, two things. One about the renters having renter's insurance. I have renter's insurance. I think 90% or more of tenants do not have renter's insurance because a lot of landlords do not require it. And they assume that if something happens that you guys are responsible. And that's not the case. If you guys have a pipe that burst and it was not your fault, it's just something that it's a pinhole leak. It's not it's not negligence on your guys' part. It happens. Your insurance would typically cover something like that. It floods your unit, but it doesn't cover their personal property. That's where I think I try to tell landlords or property managers to push a requirement for renter's insurance. It's maybe $15, $20 a month, and it covers for them to stay at for hotel and for whatever personal property got damaged. I've seen 21 years doing this. I've seen fires rip through apartment complexes, and 20 units got burned, and all 20 out of 20 units, maybe 2 people had renter's insurance, and everyone else didn't. No one's going to pay them for all that personal property. That's gone, and they have nowhere to stay. So you want to try to push the tenants to get renter's insurance or make it a requirement in the lease. Now, when it comes to condos, A lot of times, huh?
HO6.
A lot of,
6.
a lot of times, you, the agent, well, whether it be the owner or the agent, they just want to sell you a policy, and you just wanting to get a quick policy, and cheap, and not knowing your coverages. And a lot of time, people assume that the HOA's insurance is going to cover a lot of the damage if something happens, and that's not the case. Most of the times, it's walls out, or walls in that you're responsible for. So if you have a fire and you have $15,000 in coverage, you're not going to, you're paying the rest out of pocket. You're paying an additional, you're going to end up paying like 80,000 plus if you have a fire, depending on the extent of that fire. But I've seen it happen. I've seen it also with water damage. The leak happened in the upstairs unit. Inside there, leaked into the unit down below. They only had $10,000 in coverage, and it was the mitigation or the cleanup was going to cost like $25,000. The repairs were going to be another $50,000 or $60,000. So if you want to make sure you have the right coverages for your place, for your condo. So I see it a lot. Yeah. So.
I keep forgetting about the microphone.
But we went beyond mold now.
Okay. More legal. Can you create an addendum and sort of force them to have renter's insurance? Otherwise, they're in violation of their lease?
Someone said yes.
Yes. You can have it be a requirement too.
Okay.
I personally don't know, so, but she mentioned yes. I mean, I think when you write up the lease, I think that's, and then when you read.
This is through the apartment association. There is a portion there where you can either require or not require renter's insurance. There's a highlighted portion. I believe somewhere around page 6, I think it is.
And I don't know if you guys can do this or not. Is there a way where you can require it and you pay for it, or it has to be under the tenant's name? It has to be under the tenant's name. Okay.
It has to be under.
There are some places where you can't do that, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Because where you just add it to their rent, but because like I said, mentioned, it's only between 20 and.
For that, it ends up being under your name, so you assume liability.
Okay.
Whereas renter's insurance is under their name. So
Okay.
it's kind of like car insurance. Like if you're under your mom or dad's car insurance, you get in a fault, it's under their name. But if you have your own car insurance, it's under you.
Anything else?
All right. Well, if
Yeah, pizza. Time for pizza.
if you guys have any questions, feel free
The ones online, you're missing out. Just kidding.
to come up to us. We also have business cards and some pamphlets here if you want to collect it. Like I said, free inspections. Give us a call. Shoot us an email. For any questions, my whole background is in insurance, so if you have any insurance-related questions, I can also help with that.
If it's a mold or to go look at an inspection to get a quote for a non-emergency, we'll get there within 24 to 48 hours. If it's an emergency where the pipe just burst, we want to get there. We try to get there within 2 hours, 4 hours at latest. So.
But we have pizza.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.